Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Well, good morning to you all on this beautiful, beautiful Thursday. October the 3rd. It's October the 3rd. And I just thank you for your patience. Last night I ran into a lot of audio technical difficulty challenges. So I had to kind of revamp all of this just a little bit, and I really want to give you the best quality that I can possibly give you in the Wake Up with Debs, as well as my book that I wrote and the audio that I did. And in order to do that, I guess I have to go through, some challenges. So, and we all learn from our challenges. So anyway, before we really get into the day's events with Wake Up with Deb, and the message that I have for you today is how to forgive. How to forgive. And this is something that was really brought up to me today and last night before I decided to close my eyes and go to sleep. And I just wanted to bring you the message that I received. So quite possibly it may help you to forgive. So before I get into the message, as we do with all of the Wake Up with Debs, hey, good day to you, Cynthia. As we do with all of the Wake Up with Debs, we go into that 0 point space of lighthearted creation. And I call it lighthearted because we go into that space in a loving vibration, in love. I finally understand what being in love means. And being in love means being in a love vibration. And I talked a little bit about love yesterday. But before we do that, I invite you to join me in going into that lighthearted 0 point space of creation with me. And to do that, we are just going to close our eyes, sit back and relax. Allow yourself to breathe. And on that next breath in, ask your heart, your ancient Akashic records that are all stored in your heart, ask your heart to show you that most loving moment in your life. That moment could have been when you saw a rainbow. Maybe a sunrise or a sunset touched you, touched your heart. Maybe it was the first time you ever held a newborn baby of your own, or your grandchild, or even a puppy or a kitten. Just allow yourself to settle in and view that movie, that picture, or listen to that song or see those colors. Now, really feel that moment in a mindfulness way. Allow yourself to smell the smells of that moment, to touch the touch of that moment, to see that moment. If it was a taste, to taste that moment. And while you allow your moment to come to you, I will allow my moment to come to me. So the moment that comes to me right now is the first time that I got to see our kitty Bernie. We decided that we wanted to have a cat for a friend of the cat that we already had. So we went to the pet rescue, and we walked in, and there was Bernie. And when I saw him, our eyes locked, and it was like he was our soulmate. We held him and he purred, and I can hear that purr softly. So I'm just going to go into that moment, of that loving moment of holding that wonderful 6-month-old kitten while you go into yours. And as I view that video that's playing in my third eye space right here, because my heart is connected to here, I'm going to add rose-colored pink light of love into that situation. Because it starts within me. It's not out here. It's inside us. And as I add that light, you can add light to your video that's playing or your colors that are inside. And I can feel that heart of mine just swell with even more love and more compassion and more joy and more peace. And as it swells, I can no longer contain it within this human body, and I can feel it expanding brighter and brighter as it explodes from my heart and my back and my head and my feet and my palms and my hands. And it adds with your love that you're generating from inside you right now, and it's coming together like that big giant pink blanket that we talk about, and it raises us like a magic carpet ride up in higher and higher in vibration and density. And soon we find ourselves in a beautiful void. This now and present moment in this light-hearted space of creation. And while I'm here, I'm going to set the intention that today is the bestest day ever, whatever that looks like and whatever that may be. And I am in loving gratitude for every experience and everyone who experiences it with me along the way. Thank you in loving gratitude. And so it is. So thank you so much for joining me for Wake Up with Deb. Today, I want to talk to you about something that's really close to my heart and something that I've counseled about. And that, my loves, is forgiveness. Forgiveness. I touched on it a little bit yesterday with what forgiveness, what forgiveness is, and in Ho'oponopono, we talked about how it's, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, I release you, and thank you. So, if you'd like, I'm not sure how the audio is working right now. I am just going by how it feels. If you want to give me some hearts, some thumbs up, some, go ahead and do that. If you have something to say, please, by all means, this is a discussion with you and me. This is just not me talking. I love you too, Gretchen and Jessie and Cynthia and everyone else that has joined me today. So forgiveness. I talked yesterday how forgiveness is somebody does something to hurt me, and it's really intentionally. On a soul level, it's an intentional hurt, right? And I breathe it in, and I'm holding it and carrying it. And for some reason, I keep cycling the same problem over and over and over and over again because I breathed it in, and this experience, this incident has become a part of me now. So, forgiveness comes in, right? And forgiveness is, I see the energy that you gave to me, and I see it on a soul level. I see it on the highest self-expression of yourself doing this for a reason. There's a reason behind you hurting me. And I can see that, and I forgive you, and I give you back this energy because I am not going to take this on this time. I learned, right? I'm remembering who I am. I don't need to take this on to be who I am. If I do take it on and I wear it like a suit, then I'm putting myself to be a victim for the rest of my life, or until I can forgive. Now, what's really interesting about forgiveness is I used to say, I'm only human. I can forgive you, but I cannot forget. I cannot forget you did this. And what I want to channel you today, the message that I have for you today, is when we are in our human ego selves, our lowest self-expression of ourselves, in the lower vibration, it's impossible to forgive. It's absolutely 100% impossible to forgive. Why? Because that memory will always be there. Because we will expect that person to act better once we forgive them. So we're putting that expectation out of, sure, I'll forgive you, but don't you ever do that to me again. That expectation is there. And if you do that to me again, I'm not going to forgive you next time. I'm going to hold it again and again and again and again. So it is literally impossible to forgive from a lower vibration of our lowest or our least self-expression of ourselves. It is only possible from our highest self-expression of ourselves. It's only possible from our highest self-expression of ourselves, from our God selves. And Jesus says in John 10:34, and we talked about it yesterday with the who are you? Or do you know who you are? And I presented to you that you are God, that you are a God. And Jesus said in John 10:34, it is written, I have said in the old, ye are gods. Ye are gods. Now it says gods. It doesn't say God. It says gods. And the only way to forgive is for you to step in that divine being of who you are, that love that you have always been and always will be, to forgive. Because as gods, we have the power to forgive. And when we really forgive someone for what they did, it's washed into the sea of forgetfulness. It's washed into that sea of forgetfulness. We forget that they even did that. Because we see them as God. We see them as a brand new person. And we're brand new. Every moment of every day, we are brand new. Every moment of every day, we learn something. Every moment of every day, our skin regenerates. Every moment of every day. When we sleep, we regenerate our bodies. That's why we have to sleep. That's being a God. And we have to be in our God. We have to be in our divinity. We have to be loving ourselves and loving others as ourselves in order to be able to forgive. Does that all make sense? Now the other thing is, it is a myth that someone needs to ask for forgiveness in order to be forgiven. I will say that again. It is a myth that someone needs to ask for forgiveness in order to be forgiven. Because chances are that person may never ever ask for forgiveness. But you, like I said yesterday, are still attached to whatever that situation was, whatever that hurt was. And if you are still attached to whatever that hurt was, whatever that situation was, forgiveness is not going to happen. True forgiveness is not going to happen. Remember what I said. Forgiveness is to release the resentment and to forget. That's what true forgiveness is. So say my grandpa did something to me, and I carried that for the rest of my life. I carried it. Maybe I don't know, maybe your parent was an alcoholic and they ended up dying of liver cancer or something, okay? Or liver issues. You can talk to their higher selves and forgive them at any time. Of course, you're not going to have expectations of them. It's easy to forgive a dying person because you don't have expectations of them because their life is over, right? It's easy to forgive a dying person or a dead person. It's harder to forgive a living person because if we are forgiving in our least self-expression of ourselves, we are going to remember that incident over and over and over. And we are going to say, what happens if this person does it again? And actually, we are creating that person to do it again. When we put expectations on that person, we can hope that that person won't do it again. But chances are, that person may end up doing it again, or something else to hurt you. In those cases, I have found that sometimes you can't go to that person physically and look at that person and say, I forgive you. I mean, sometimes we can call them up on the phone, you know, when we've been thinking about it, and understand that, wow, they were just playing that role, playing that script, like what I was talking about yesterday. And we could call and say, hey, you know, I get it, and I forgive you. Well, what do you forgive me for? I didn't do anything wrong. And then the forgiveness is gone because that person says that they didn't do anything wrong. Right? So sometimes we need to bypass that human avatar person and go directly to their higher self-expressions of themselves. And we can do that at any time. We can call in anybody's higher self-expression of themselves. For instance, if my father was an alcoholic, and he's still an alcoholic, and my father is just having, you know, a hard time with life, he's bitter, he's old, he doesn't see, you know, any of this love, he doesn't, you know, he's not there on that level with you in your spiritual growth, right? You can go to your father's higher self and say, hey, Dad, I'm talking to his higher self right now. I'm not talking directly to him, but I'm talking to his higher self. And say, Dad, wow, well, I forgive you. I forgive you for that anger spell that ended up in, you know, abusing me or hitting me. I forgive you, Dad. And have a conversation with that higher self. How would that higher self be talking to you? The higher self wouldn't be going like this, because that higher self is the highest self-expression of yourself. The highest self-expression of yourself is right there, next to Source Creator, to Almighty God, to Prime Creator, whatever you want to use to call. You can bring that higher self to you and say, wow, Dad, that role that you played, you know, where you literally hit me because you were so angry. I understand that you were angry at yourself. And I understand that maybe, just maybe, you went through this in your childhood. And I understand that it formed a version of love within you that does not compute or does not even relate to what I know love is now. And I love you, Dad. Talking to your highest self-expression of Dad right now. I love you, Dad. I forgive you. I get it. Thank you. Thank you for showing me what pain was so that it could be open, so that I would never want to hurt anybody the way that you hurt me. Wow, what a lesson. What a lesson I learned from you, Dad. I love you. And I'm sorry that I didn't see that divine being of light in you. I'm sorry I did not see the divine the divine within you. All these years went by and I've held this grudge. And again, like I said, you're not physically speaking to your dad in front of you. You're speaking to your dad's highest self-expression of himself. I did that with Hillary Clinton. I did that with Hillary Clinton. Hillary, I call your highest self-expression to me, of yourself to me, so I can talk with you. I forgive you for what you're doing. You know, and quite honestly, if that person is still alive or dead, but we're talking about alive right now, if that person is still alive, you have at that moment in your life released that cord attached to that hurt. Now we can jump on a bandwagon and see somebody hurting someone else. And we can hold that grudge against that somebody for hurting someone else. But frankly, it's really none of my business, because that's a soul contract between that person and whoever else that is. Now I can jump on that bandwagon and I can be upset at that person who's hurting someone else. And I can throw that energy of that anger or that fear or that hatred or that revenge or wanting justice to that person hurting someone else, when it's really none of my business. And what I really, in my highest self-expression of myself, can do is to send love to both of those people in that situation. Because love is the strongest power of them all. Love is the highest vibration. Being in love is being in that vibration of love and experiencing all of the wonderful, wonderful benefits of being in that vibration of love. Love has peace in it. Love has joy in it. Love has health in it. Love has abundance in it. Love has happiness in it. And according to the Constitution, we have the right to pursue happiness. So I can look back as an observer and watch what's going on as a movie and not become attached. But if I do become attached and I start to put out all of that icky lower vibrational stuff, then it's up to me to become responsible and accountable, because I am creating that energy from within me into that situation. And maybe if I didn't, maybe it would resolve between them. But I took it upon myself to jump into that drama. Or I'll say I was pulled into that drama. No, you're never pulled into anything. You have a choice to what you want to put your energy into. But if I was pulled into that drama, if I looked at it, I was pulled into that drama, then I'm making myself a victim. That's why I'm saying you have a choice. Step into your power of choice. But now, because I put energy out there, boy, I need to forgive that. And I need to ask that higher self. I need to say, hey, highest self-expression of, I don't know, I'll use Hillary Clinton as an example again. Highest self-expression of Hillary Clinton. I jumped into it. Will you forgive me for not seeing that divine being of light to who you are, to the role that you were playing in that experience, for whatever lesson was necessary for remembrance of who you are or who we are in this now and present life. And what's really cool is I detach from that situation and I allow whatever needs to happen between whatever players are involved in that play. Does all that make sense? How do we forgive? First step first step in how to forgive is we have to see the God that we are, the divine being of light that we are, and we need to be in love. We need to be in love. Not falling in love. I talked about that in my book, Wake Up to the Alchemy of Your Heart, right? Wake Up to the Alchemy of Your Heart. I've talked about that in my book, about falling in love. It is impossible to fall in love. We can fall in like, we can fall in lust, we can fall in whatever in those lower vibrations. But we have to raise ourselves up to be in love, because our heart is the fourth chakra in our body. And that's where love is. Love is not an emotion. Love is not just feeling good in the moment. Love is a way of life. Love is a way of living. Love is a lifestyle. Love is stepping into that divine being of light that you are and living that story of love. And let me tell you, love has no expectations. Love has no expectations. I said that before when I read what love is, and I'm going to read to you all what love is again. It's really simple. Love is in, I know it's in the Bible, I know it's in Corinthians, and I think it's First Corinthians 13, and I think it starts in verse 2. In my book, if you have Wake Up to the Alchemy of Your Heart, I talk about love in chapter 4. And I'm going to read from you from page 73. It's 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8. This is the NIV version, the New International Version. Love is patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. And it keeps no record of wrongs. I'm going to say that again. It keeps no record of wrongs. So when we have love, and it keeps no record of wrong, I keep pausing because my camera wants to connect to the Bluetooth speaker, so I had to turn off my phone for the Bluetooth. But I'm back to, it keeps no records of wrong. And when love keeps no records of wrong, it wipes expectations completely out of there. When we expect another to be better than we are, wow, are we in for a cycle of hell. When we expect someone to be at the level that we are, wow, it brings on another cycle of hell. We need to understand that that person hurt us on a soul level. Hurt us so deep that it moved us from that comfortable whatever position we were in. It moved us into an uncomfortable place so that we can grow. You know, Aspen just started first grade, and she brought home spelling words. Spelling words. And she studies her spelling words, and she's very good at spelling. She's very, very smart. This little starseed is very, very smart. The Sky was telling me the other night that Aspen was having nightmares over a spelling test. She was having nightmares over a spelling test, right? Because she was allowing that expectation to overcome her when she does the best that she can. If you're doing the best that you can, then you're already meeting your expectations. The best that you can at the point where you are. And that person that's hurting you is doing the best that they can at the point that they are. It's interesting because I look at growth. And growth has pain in it. I'm going to say it again. In this third dimension, growth has pain in it. I talked about the butterfly. The butterfly, right? Does a butterfly just be a butterfly? I mean, it just is born a butterfly, right? It's born a butterfly, this beautiful creature with these beautiful wings. No, my friends. A butterfly starts out as a caterpillar, right? Caterpillars, can they fly? No, they can't fly. Caterpillars crawl on the ground. They cling to the vine or whatever they're clinging to. They have little sticky stuff on their feet, and they move, right? And then that caterpillar cocoons. That caterpillar forms a cocoon around them, spins this cocoon around them. Is that caterpillar like blissing out in this cocoon, going, "Oh, I can't wait to be a butterfly. Oh, I'm in such bliss. Oh, this is awesome." I don't know how a caterpillar can be in bliss in a cocoon, because what happens is a caterpillar emits an acid while it's in the cocoon that burns away its body and all that does not serve it to be a butterfly. Acid. Last time I had acid burn, it burned. It hurt. It's painful. Painful. And this caterpillar burns away with that acid in this cocoon forever, how long it takes. And then, when the growth is finished, it emerges out with these beautiful wings of this butterfly. Does it still crawl on the ground? No, it flies. It flies. Its wings are spanned out. I mean, butterflies are beautiful, beautiful symbols of transformation. A tree. Before it becomes this big, wonderful tree, it's a seed. It's a seedling. It's planted inside the ground. Now, I said in my book, I talked about when David Wilcock talked about Cleve Baxter, that he hooked this plant up to basically a lie detector machine, right? To find out, and hooked it up to this machine. And while this plant was there on this machine, Cleve Baxter wanted to get a reaction from this plant. So he poked it with his pen, no reaction. I mean, he played with the leaves, no reaction. And then he had a thought. I am going to go to my secretary's drawer. I'm going to get out her book of matches or her lighter, and I'm going to light this plant on fire. And the plant heard that thought. And the plant on the machine looked like it screamed in pain, So, looking at that, you can look at the growth of a plant, and the plant obviously goes through pain to grow. So why should we be any different than that butterfly or that plant? Pain helps us to grow. And in the law of one, it states that the catalyst will be there until the catalyst is no longer useful or needed. The catalyst is there in that growth. Once we understand that pain helps us move forward, we can make an agreement and say, you know what? I really don't need pain anymore to help me. I am aware of things around me now. Wow. This is a whole new world. I'm aware. I'm awake. I can see things through soul eyes, through God's eyes. I see you through God's eyes. I see you, your divinity. Namaste. I see the divinity in you. I recognize the God in you. I love you and I respect you. Does all that make sense? So that's the message that I have for you today on forgiveness. And I will say again, in my 3D human form, least expression of myself, with expectations or judgment, I do not have the capability to truly forgive. Because like I said, once forgiveness is truly there, the memory of that incident is gone. It's just like wiped in the sea of forgetfulness. Even Jesus said we should forgive 70 times 7. If we're in our divinity and we're in a state of love and we see that person playing the role or playing the script, then we become, forgiveness isn't necessary because we're not taking it personal anymore. Because that hurt that somebody's given out, it's not personal anymore. Now, when you are in a vibration of love, in love, it really doesn't mean that everything is going to be sunshine, rainbows, happiness, and cotton candy. It really doesn't. Because in love, there are still blessings or lessons that we need to come to us so that we can remember. So even if we're in that vibration of being in love, in that loving vibration, we are going to attract to us moths like to the flame. Even Jesus said, you'll be despised and rejected by men. And I figured out why. Because sometimes we just need to get that anger out of our body. We need to get that anger out of our body. Now, that's where being the divine being of light that we are. It's funny because when my brother transitioned, or in the 3D language died of ALS, I was so mad at God. Why did you take my brother from me? Why? How could you do that? How could you be a loving God and take such a loving soul away? I was so angry at God. I spouted off to God. I yelled at God. I screamed at God. I blamed God. Source, creator, prime creator. And you know what I found? God never stopped loving me. God allowed me to get that energy out at him or her. God allowed me to release that anger that I had inside to him, to her. God the Father, God the Mother, which is Holy Spirit, and God the Son, which is all the children. That's the Trinity. So I yelled and I hollered at God. And if God would have taken it personally, he would have slammed the door and said, you know what, I'm out of here. You just deal with it. Instead, God stood there. And while I hollered and screamed and was angry at God, God wrapped arms around me and still loved me and said, I get it, child. I understand. I understand you're hurting. Go ahead. Let it out. You don't need to hold on to it. Let out that anger. And I say that because when we are in our highest self-expressions of ourselves, there are going to be people that come to us that are angry, that need to let out that anger out of their bodies. And we're kind of like their journal. Instead of writing in a journal and letting the anger flow out, you know, your arm or whatever, maybe they don't understand that, or maybe they don't understand that concept. So it blurts out of their mouth that they're angry. Now, being God and being in our divinity, we don't need to take it personal. We can just see it as being a sounding board. Being a sounding board. Please, I love you. Go ahead, let out your anger. Go ahead, let out your anger. My child, you don't need to carry it. You don't need to hold on to this anger. Do you see that it's just weighing you down? So when you are in love, you are allowing that person a safe place to be vulnerable with, to cry, to experience those emotions that are human bodies, that are human selves. Boy, those emotions. We have that third chakra. We have that second chakra. The second chakra is the sacral chakra, and that's where our emotions are stored. That's where our emotions come from. It's funny because if you go deeper, and deeper, you find that there's emotions in that red, in that root chakra too. There's emotions in that yellow chakra too. When you reach the heart, it's love. It's love. But the emotions in that orange chakra that we have, that's a gift. Our emotions are a gift. Our emotions help us to create. Because our thoughts are electrical, and we think a thought, and our emotions are magnetic, and we stamp that magnetic energy onto that thought. And when we stamp that magnetic energy onto that thought manifests and creates and returns for us. And that's how it knows who had that thought. It's magnetic. Boom, we stamp it with our own heart signature, our own magnetic emotional signature. So I have a thought, I sign it, Deborah Lee Augenbaugh, right? I sign it, Deborah Lee Augenbaugh. And if I'm angry behind that thought, that's the way that thought is going to return to me in the creation that it's going to create. It's funny because last night I was up till 1:30 in the morning. Man, I was on Facebook on my computer. I was on Facebook Live. I don't know if you were up with me. If you tuned in, you could see me say, I am just testing out the sound of this. I am testing out the sound of this. Because when I went to go play back, all I heard was on my computers, on both computers. And I'm like, oh. Because I'm filming this right now for YouTube as well, so I can upload this on YouTube. Because I have found that Facebook, when we do Facebook Live, it's not the quality that I see on my screen that I'm giving to you. And on YouTube, before I upload my video on YouTube, I can tweak a little bit. I can put in, little bubbles of thought. I can add music. I can do whatever I want to do. But on Facebook Live, it's just live. So the audio was really messing up last night, and I worked on it and worked on it and worked on it and worked on it, and I was like, all right. And I almost posted, due to technical difficulties, Wake Up With Deb will not be live on Facebook. Will not be live. And my vibration kept lowering and lowering and lowering and lowering. And I was starting to get like, I'm so frustrated. That's the first red flag. I should have just said, you know what? It's going to work out. Whatever it is, I'm going to bed. But no, I was up to 1:30. And then I laid down, and I started releasing all the attachments that I had. I started releasing everything. I started going into that loving space that we go into, that lighthearted space of creation, that 0 point space. When I was laying down on my pillow, and I was releasing everything, releasing all of the attachments. At this time, I release all cords that are not in my highest and greatest good, in loving gratitude, and I call my power back. Once I called my power back, and I'm laying on my pillow, and now it's 1:35, 1:40 in the morning, and this thought came to me. Channeled thought, bing! This is how you're going to do it, Deb. Use your phone. Check the audio on your phone. If the audio on your phone works, then you're good to go. Right? And obviously this is going through to you because I'm seeing the hearts. You can thumbs up me, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you're there. Share this video with everyone. Share the YouTube video with everyone once I get it edited and uploaded. So it's like the answer just came to me once I let everything go. I was lighter. I felt better. I got 6 hours sleep, woke up this morning. I'm going to give it a try. Well, I tried it on the computer first. Audio still, oh man, the audio was just like crazy. And then I got my phone, and I grabbed my, the little ear buds that I use with the microphone. But I added music. I don't know if you noticed, I added music during the introduction of this, and I added some music during the meditation of going into that lighthearted space. And it worked, as far as I know, on my recording camera that I'm recording on. It worked. I'm yet to review the Facebook to see if it worked, but I'm pretty sure that this is going through to you. So if you get the music, yay! If you don't, that's okay. There's other avenues I can go through. I just have one more scenario to give you before I call it a day. It was funny, while I was doing my Facebook Live yesterday, my wife was telling me, or while I was up here working on some work, I was downloading music, and I was downloading a program for video editing and looking at some other equipment that I need and everything else. Thanks, Lucy, for letting me know that. That's awesome to hear. Hi, Kim. So, April, my wife, told me that Sky went to the refrigerator and took out a brand new. I just bought this milk, just maybe, oh, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, and the date on it said 2020. I mean, so this should have been good, and the milk was interesting because it's coconut milk with hemp milk, and it's by Tempt, and April said that Sky shook the container, and all of a sudden it exploded. This container of milk exploded. And when it exploded, milk went everywhere, but then Sky saw mold on the bottom of this container. Now, in the 3D, or in the lower self-expression, least self-expression, we could be like, oh crap, it exploded, I have this mess to clean up. And it could have been, you know, even more cycling of all those messes to clean up. Oh no, now I have this mess to clean up. Oh no, now I have this mess to clean up. Because that's what happens. We cycle. Instead, Sky looked at the bottom of it and saw the mold that was all over the inside of the box. If she had gone into an angry state, she would have missed that mold inside the box. She'd just thrown it in the trash. So sometimes things happen that are bad, that are to bring our awareness to focus in on that, to see really what's going on. Really, what am I creating in this moment? It's a magical, amazing life that we live. And every day can be magical, amazing life for you when you are in love in your highest self-expression of yourself. And the more that you can be in the highest self-expression of yourself, the easier it is to continue to be in it. But you have to be aware. You have to be awake. You have to be aware of every thought that you have. You have to be aware of the words that you say. You have to be aware of the words that you say. You have to be aware of every thought that you have. That's waking up. Because when you become aware of the words that you say and the thoughts that you have, the feelings that you have behind them, and the actions that you do, then you can already see what consequences the choices might have leading to those. You can already see, wow, if I point this out to this person of something that person did that I don't agree with, am I causing that person hurt? And how? How can I point this out to them without causing them hurt? How can I not make this personal for them? We can speak the way God speaks. How can I be a better self-expression of myself today? When I speak, is it with love? Is it truth? And is it necessary? Elizabeth April, she did a great video the other day that I watched. When I speak, is it with love? Is it true? And is it necessary? Now, again, when you are in your divine self-expression of yourself, in your highest self-expression of yourself, you're going to be thinking of that. But when you're in your least self-expression of yourself and you're in that survival mode or you're in that anger, you're not going to be thinking about things like that. So before I get angry at a situation, I'm going to step back. Had a wonderful, wonderful woman. Her name is Anne. She brought this to my awareness. Take 2 steps back and 1 to the side and look at it. Not take 2 steps back and look at it, because I still see the same mess. But if I take 1 to the side, then I'm looking through it through different eyes. I'm looking through it through God's eyes. I'm looking through it through soul eyes. Is it really going to make a difference? And then, if I don't say anything, then forgiveness isn't necessary, and I miss that step completely. Then forgiveness is a moot point, because I didn't take it personally. I allowed you to share where you are in your growth. And yes, I see that you're angry. You know what? I love you. Go ahead. Let it out. I'm here. I love you. I'm a what? Okay. You have a right to your opinion if you think that I'm doing that or I am that. I love you. And if you think I'm doing that, I need to look at myself and say, am I doing that? Did I shut them down? Did I slam the door? Did I shut them out? Because they were angry? Did I shut them out? Now I hear people talk about boundaries, yeah. And abuse, yeah. Again, those are all lower vibrational energies. The shame, the guilt, the anger, the fear, all of those lower vibrational energies. If you look at the power versus force chart, I can't remember the name of the guy that put it out right away, but it's it's on my computer. It's the opening screen to my computer. Is the chart. And way up here is enlightenment, and way down here is anger and shame and guilt and fear. Those are the vibrational differences. And so I basically have delivered the message that I came to deliver to you today. My cup is black. Oh, this coffee is so good. My cup is black now. I love you so very much. And I am a minister. I am here to help you and assist you in the healing of yourself. And I will walk through the fire with you. I walk through the fire every day, and I share my experiences with you. And how I lowered my vibration, and how I was able to raise that vibration. You want to know the best way possible to raise your vibration in any moment of any day? Is find the gratitude in whatever it is. Once you find the gratitude, you raise from that lower vibration up to the higher vibration like that. When you find the gratitude, when you're fully thankful. That's the best way that I know of. There's other ways. You know, wear different colors, eat different foods. There's all kinds of different ways. Use a crystal. I have these wonderful raw emeralds that I came across. These beautiful raw emeralds. And I wasn't sure exactly. I was at the crystal store and I was getting crystals to set a crystal grid after I did a house clearing. I don't call it house clearing anymore. I call it house reset. Because all I do is I go in and I love the walls and I love the home and I love the water and I love all the materials that it's made with, and I reset it back to that love balance. And then I'll leave a little crystal grid to hold that space, that energy. And I take that crystal grid and I leave that in the house. But I was at this crystal store and all of a sudden these raw emeralds were calling to me, and I'm like, what is it with these raw emeralds? Because I honestly, I don't know what all these crystals are for. And I found out that the raw emerald, the emerald, is a stone for unconditional love. Imagine that. So I bought a whole bunch of them. Lucy says that she likes to imagine a fire burning out the bad thoughts. But anyway, like I said, I am here to assist you in the healing of yourself. I am available for individual soul counselings, and if you want individual soul counseling, I would encourage you to get in touch with me. My number is 303-549-7396. My email is Deb, D-E-B, at peaceful, P-E-A-C-E-F-U-L-L, solutions, SOULUTIONS.com. Or you can email me at Grammy Smiles, GRAMMYSMILEZ at yahoo.com. I am more than happy to schedule a session with you, a soul counseling session. If you feel that you can't afford it, give me a message, text me, call me, talk to me about it, because I have a special sliding scale plan for you. And I know it's at a price that you can't afford. I talked earlier about my book, Wake Up with Deb, or Wake Up to the Alchemy of Your Heart. I know it's backwards on the camera in reading it. Wake Up to the Alchemy of Your Heart. You can get it on Amazon. You can order it on Amazon for $11.11. Or I still have copies here that it's $11.11 plus postage. I will sign it for you and send it out for you, and when I sign it, I usually write a little reading for you in the book, and that's available. I am working on putting my book on audio, and that is a slow process, but my goal is to have it out November 11th. And that pretty much covers it. I just really, 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 really thank you for sharing in this incarnation with me. I love you. I love you from the very core of my being, from the very core of who I am. Thank you for sharing in this incarnation with me. And that about wraps it up for today with Wake Up with Deb. It's like Bernie decided to join us too, huh? I love you. I love you so very much from the very core of who I am. Enjoy, INJOY, the day that you create. And create the day that you INJOY. Take care. God bless you. Until the next time. Mwah!